Welcome to MetalCast, the podcast where we're turning up the heat on all things metal, roofing. On this show, we'll explore the world of metal roofing from its durability to design, expert insights, and more. Join us as we bang out the details on the toughest roofs in the game. Get ready to unleash the power of metal roofing. Hello and welcome to MetalCast from MetalCoffeeShop. My name is Heidi Ellsworth, and we are here to talk about everything metal and how to grow your metal business. Whether that's roofing, siding, metal buildings, you name it, you need a great marketing support system. And we are talking to some of the folks who are doing this for contractors everywhere, and that is Rich Harshaw with Level 10 Contractor. And I'm so excited to have Rich on the podcast today. Hello, Rich.
Hey there, Heidi. Thanks for having me today.
Well, you know what? I was on your podcast last week and absolutely loved it. So hopefully, I'm pretty sure we'll have just as much fun today.
I think we will.
I love it. So let's start out with an introduction. If you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Level 10 Contractor.
Yeah, so Level 10 Contractor, I've been in business for almost 31 years now. Been under the name Level 10 Contractor just since about 2019. We used to be called Monopolize Your Marketplace. It's kind of a mouthful. We changed it. And Level 10 Contractor is kind of a nod to the idea that we like to work with contractors that are sort of on the, shall we say, higher end of the excellence spectrum. Companies that are really endeavoring to do right by their clients. They don't have to be huge companies, but at least doing the right kinds of things. And as look, we all know not all contractors necessarily fit into that group. Some by choice, some by just not really knowing how to run their businesses for experience reasons. But Level 10 Contractor, yeah, we work with roofing, siding, windows, kitchens, bathrooms, gutters, metal roofing, regular roofing, all kinds of roofing, and some HVAC too. So that's what we do. We're an agency.
We do a little bit of HVAC too, also here on the Metal Coffee Shop. And, I think it's really important because, especially when you're looking at something like metal roofing, it's high end, it's sustainable, it's going to last, it has durability. So you need to have that strong marketing messaging around that. And you've been really bringing excellence in marketing since 1994, which I mean is huge, and to the home improvement since 2005. So you and I, Rich, are about the same. That 1993 was about the time I got into roofing, and Roofers Coffee Shop launched in 2002 with Metal Coffee Shop following in 2021. So talk to us just a little bit about how your journey, like how did you get started and really bringing, Level 10 Contractor and what you're working on now, Operation Lead Surge, into the market?
Yeah. So the early days of the business, I worked with any kind of company that would come to the table. Had a lot of success with some electronic banking services companies of all things, some manufacturing companies of all things, and just go down the buffet line and take a little bit of every dish and put it on the plate. That's who we worked with. But one of my early big clients, big meaning they were a large company compared to my other clients, and they paid me in those days what felt like a ton of money, was a company called Lawnsmith Roofing. This is in 1996. And they were about $50 million in sales. They were the largest residential only back in those days. And they came to me with a real problem. They had just had a major storm, and they would normally send their crews out. They get them off the roofs, and they'd send them out to distribute flyers to the affected areas. They could be very precision in their flyer delivery. Normally, when they would do that, they would get about 2,000 people calling them. But this time, they only had 100 instead of 2,000. And it's because the previous year there had been a massive storm, and all of these roofers had come into the marketplace. So now, the following year, the year I met them, they put their flyers out, and 5 minutes later, somebody else would come take the flyer off the door, put their flyer in its place. And so they said, "Hey, we got a big problem. We need some help." So had a really good experience with them, developed a lot of really cool stuff for a roofing company. And so then about, let's see, that was 96, about 2005. So almost 9 years later, there a lot of stuff happened in between that's not super important to this conversation. But I thought, I'm going to really settle down and get involved with contractors, and that came as a result of a guy named Tim Mush. A lot of people know him. He founded Market Sharp and then he sold it, but he still worked there forever. He invited me on to in those days it was called a teleseminar. We'd call it a webinar now. And he said, "Hey, I got about 300 contractors that are going to be on a teleseminar. Do you want to do it?" And I had just written a book called Monopolize Your Marketplace. It was again for the general marketing, consumption. It wasn't for contractors. And I got off of that teleseminar. It went well. It was well received. And I said, "Hey Tim, who's like the marketing guru in this space?" Because the dentists have their marketing guys, and the insurance people have their marketing people. And he said, "There really isn't one. That's why I saw your book, and I reached out to you." And I said, "Oh, well, maybe that could be me." So I spent the last 20 years trying to become the marketing guru for contractors. It's a stupid word, but you know what I mean.
No, I get it. I get it. And it's so true because in this industry, you want to build that reputation and have people know you. And I mean, just even Lon Smith, what a great company. I worked with them myself, a number of, selling products as a regional manager, different things, and then really to bring that in here. And I think that is really important. It's important for people to see you, to know you've been around. It's something about roofing that in construction overall, it's built over time and showing what you have and really making it happen. So how did Operation Lead Surge kind of come into? I mean, what was the inspiration with that?
Okay, so first of all, what is Operation Lead Surge? It's a 2-day conference that we're holding in September, a little bit later this month, that will go over kind of the entire marketing philosophy of Level 10. Now, how did it come into being? Well, I've done trainings my whole career. I used to do 5-day marketing trainings in the early 2000s. Like we'd bring companies in from all over the country. 5 days is a lot, okay? But I told you a minute ago when I connected with Tim Mush and I asked about the marketing guru thing, he said, "Well, there really isn't one." And I said, "Well, hey, what if we did some seminars around the country?" And I partnered with Market Sharp at the time, and we did over the next year and a half or so. I think we did about 30 locations of 1-day seminars. Yeah, we'd go show up in Washington, D.C., and then the next day we'd show up. I don't remember exactly, but maybe Philadelphia, somewhere that we could get to that night, and we would hold these sessions. And then I got into training. I've spoken at every conference that exists. It's crazy, a lot. And I speak at all these conferences, and I finally kind of looked up about a year ago, and I said, it's time for us to hold our own conference. I attend these, I've spoken at these, I used to do things like this. So yeah, I've got a great business development person, Mary Beth Bodner, and she kind of took that baton and started running with it. And yeah, sure enough, we've got a little conference coming. It's not a huge conference. I think there will be about 50 companies there, which is what we wanted. A little bit more intimate. It's like more of a workshop.
Hmm. Well, and then contractors can talk to contractors, and that always helps. That brainstorming and strategy.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's probably two or three major kinds of conferences. One is like top 500 qualified remodeler, top 500. So it's like 25 speakers. Each guy has maybe 30 minutes or something, and there's a lot of networking, and there's this huge pool of sponsors there. And so people come for the sponsors and for the networking, and to get an idea here or there. This isn't that. This is it's look, I'll be honest, it's going to be a lot of me. Okay. I'm doing almost the entire training, probably 80% of it. And it's really just going to walk through this whole marketing system, soup to nuts. Here's everything you need to know. And then there's a 12-month follow-up via Zoom to implement. So it's more of a training, I would say, than a seminar.
I think that's so important. And one of the things that you really bring to my mind as we're kind of talking through this is you've been doing marketing for a long time. And I've been doing marketing for a long time in the industry. And everything has changed so much, so fast. And I mean, I remember when I first started out, it was Yellow Pages, right? And people would name their company with an A just so they could be first in the Yellow
Yeah,
Pages.
quadruple A aardvark.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then how everything has changed. Well, that's taken over 30 years, right, in the market of change. Whereas in the last couple years, I feel like it's every month. Things are changing that fast when you look at the technologies, the how to get in front of the customers, AI, what people get tired of, what becomes white noise, or just all of that behind it. So talk to me just a little bit, Rich, about what you've seen over the years and where we're at today. During that training you're going to do, you really had me thinking like, wow, there's has to be huge amounts about digital.
To quote the great Neil Peart, if you know, you know, the more that things change, the more they stay the same. So yeah, there's a lot of tactics that have evolved. Uh, I'll tell you a funny story. When I first met with Lawn Smith Roofing, this was in Fort Worth, okay? A big city. The yellow pages back in those days was so thick it was broken into two books, not just one big thick one. So you could put two kids at the big at the adult table at Thanksgiving with those things. And the roofing section was literally 3/4 of an inch thick or something. And I looked at Lonnie and I said, "So I noticed it here. You don't have a Yellow Pages ad. They have the line listing that's free, like an inch tall. No quarter, half page, no full page, no double truck." And I said, "What's the deal with this?" And he goes, "Well, I hate Yellow Pages leads. We used to do all that, and then we quit." I said, "Well, why do you hate them? And why did you quit?" He said, "Well, the reason is because whenever we get Yellow Pages ads, people would always call and they would ask the most insufferable, stupid question, and I hated it, and so I just quit." And I go, "Well, let me guess. The question was, how much does it cost for a new roof?" And he goes, "Exactly. I hate that question." I said, "Okay, let's think about that for a minute." And I think this is important because obviously Yellow Pages is gone. It went the way of the dinosaurs. It got hit by a meteor, or maybe like Lonnie Smith. That guy smoked 8 packs a day. I think maybe that's what killed the dinosaurs too. Who knows? That's a Gary Larson reference. Anyway, um, so why don't you like the Yellow Pages? Well, this is all these people calling. They want to know the price. Well, here's the problem: the number of times that the average person calling you from the Yellow Pages has ever gotten a new roof, statistically, is zero. They've never done it. Okay, so what's the reputation of the roofing industry? Bad. Why? Well, a lot of reasons that we could name. We don't need to name them right here. Okay, so everybody thinks you suck, and they've never bought a roof before, so they don't even have firsthand experience. They just know this reputation that sucks. Okay, great. So now what does your ad say? Well, here's what it says: Lawn Smith Roofing, in business for 35 years, 50,000 satisfied customers. And so here's what happens: people start thumbing through that Yellow Pages, and they see that, and all they see is all these ads that look exactly the same, just different colors and different, fonts and logos. They don't know how to judge what to look for in a roofer. So they ask the only question they can think of. It's the only question that they logically know, which is, well, how much is it?
Right, right.
And he goes, "Oh, so here's what we did." And the genesis of what we did there is the genesis to everything else that we still do right now. It's exactly the same. We created something for Lawn Smith Roofing called the Code of Ethics. What was it called? The Code of Ethics and Competency. Code of Ethics and Competency Contractor Standards Guide. It's a mouthful. For short, just Contractor Standards Guide. So we created 21 standards broken into 4 categories: financial stability, reputation, workmanship, and something else that I can't remember off the top of my head. So there's 4 sections. And each of those had little subsections. So we trained people, here's what you need to ask for when you are looking for a roofer. And then we convinced them to put it in the Yellow Pages, create a full page ad, ask these questions of any roofer. Oh, so we start to educate them. So when they call, instead of just saying, how much? They're like, oh. And so I'm going to date both of us since we were from the same era. We created a VHS videotape.
Wow.
This even predates CDs, okay, or DVDs. And it was 11 minutes long, and we walked people through the Code of Ethics Contractor Standards Guide. And we showed them, here's what to look for. It was 11 minutes long. Why do you think it was 11 minutes long, Heidi?
That's how long the VHS? I don't know.
How long it takes the guy to measure the roof. Back in those days, you had to
Oh,
get a ladder, climb the roof. It took about 10, 12 minutes typically to measure the roof.
brilliant.
So while
Brilliant.
they're in there measuring, they're in there watching this VHS tape and it's educating them what they need to know. Okay, great. So that worked gangbusters. It was awesome. Okay. Okay, now it's been 29 years since we developed that. So what's the difference now? The difference is, well, people aren't looking in the yellow pages, but now the yellow pages is called Google. And now, as we move into 2025, 2026 and beyond, Google is now kind of morphing into AI. And people are wanting to know what do I need to know? So it's the way that we do marketing, everything is founded on what we call identity. Identity. Identity is communicating with power, precision, and passion. The three P's: power, precision, passion. Who you are, how you're different, why you're better, what people can expect when they do business with you. Okay. That's identity. So that's what we do in 1996. We take and put that information into the yellow pages. And then we put it onto a VHS tape. And then we put it into a brochure. And then if we run an ad, we put it in the ad. And then if we put a job site sign out, which is huge, we put a little take one next to it so people could grab a little flyer that says, here's what you need to know. And so now, fast forward to 2025, it goes into the website, it goes onto social media, it goes into YouTube. It's all the same stuff. This is why I said the more that things change, the more they stay the same. So now it's not yellow pages, it's your website, or it's Google, or it's AI, right?
Yeah. But it's still about telling the story of who you are as a company and your ethics and what you're going to deliver to that customer. You're right. That never changed. It's just the channels and the medium that we use to get it out in front of them.
It's still all about trust and confidence and education and understanding. So yeah, so when you show up at Operation Lead Surge, or if you ended up, somebody was doing business with our agency, the first thing we're going to do, always, every single time, is we're going to go through a very painstaking, what we call identity consultation. We want to find out, who are you? And there's 5 pillars of identity. Okay, there's your products, there's your workmanship, there's what we call bedside manner, which is how you treat people. Then there's your core values, and then there's what we call community and culture. Okay, so there's 5 categories. Each of those categories has multiple possible identity points. So, for instance, if it's bedside manner, it might be firm and accurate quotes. Okay, and it also might be no sales, no high sales pressure. And it might be we clean up after ourselves. So, like for instance, we created something, again, this all goes all the way back to Lon Smith in 1996. We created something called the No Tricks, No Pressure Sales Agreement. And it was 11 items on a piece of paper. At the top, it said Lon Smith Roofing, and then it had 11 items. Here's what we promised to make sure that you don't never feel pressured. And then it talked about how our salespeople will respect your property and your home, and they'll park in the right place, and they won't smoke, and blah blah. I mean, I guess people still smoke back then. And then it progressively got to things like, we will endeavor to show you all the products that make sense for you and nothing that doesn't. We will give you multiple options so that you can choose something that fits into your budget. And then the very last one was kind of the kicker. It said something to the effect of, um, we'll give you our final price, and if it makes sense to move forward, we will be delighted. But if not, no pressure, we can part as friends. And then it was signed by the salesperson, the sales manager, and Lonnie himself. Okay, it's a no tricks, no pressure sales agreement. So what we're doing is we're taking this idea, okay, of no pressure sales. Now remember, this is just, there's 5 pillars of identity, and this is the third
Right.
one. And then it's one of the points under that pillar, which is no sales pressure. So now what we're doing is we're creating evidence to show it and to prove it. So instead of just saying, hey, we don't have high sales pressure, we say, here's something called a no tricks, no pressure sales agreement. You should make sure that any roofer that you talk to has a written document that ensures that they won't bully you into buying something that's either not a good fit or that you can't afford. It still works in 2025. But now here's how it works. Yes, it's still a document, but now we set the lead comes in, wherever it comes from. We set the appointment, and everybody hopefully is using automated AI type tools, and the tool is going to automatically send out a little text reminder, and it's going to say, Mr. Johnson, I just want you to know that XYZ Roofing, we never apply high sales pressure. Here's a little video we created to explain our philosophy. And so then they click on it, and it's 40 seconds long. And it explains what's in the no tricks, no pressure sales agreement. And now when your salesperson shows up, now that prospect is more favorably disposed to want to do business with you. It's what do the old sales trainers call you show up more as a welcome guest instead of a nuisance pest or something like that. And you say, well, what if they don't watch the video? Well, what if they do watch the video? That's a better question. What if they do watch the video?
It's going to help you, and you're going to be so much further ahead, because it's about trust. I mean, when you think about when you are doing home improvements, people are trusting you to take care of their home, which is the most important. And so I love what you're saying, Rich. I love, really focusing in on that trust, reliability, and I really love the no sales pressure, right? But yet at the same time, you build a friend.
One of my early clients in the 2005 era, so when we came back and started working with clients, worked with a company out of Goshen, Indiana called Cornett Roofing. You ever heard of these guys? Chan Cornett. He's the coolest guy in the world. Hey, Chan, if you're out there, I haven't talked to you in a long time. You're still one of the coolest guys I ever met. And so, metal roofing, this is a lot different than regular roofing. So here's what we did. This was like in 2000, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. You could do the exact same thing now. So here's what we did. Chan, he built a potato gun. You know what a potato gun is? Yeah, like shoots a potato. I don't know how fast it goes. So let's say like 70, 80, 90 miles. That's fast, okay? And so he put the potato in there and he's like, hey, let's see what happens when we shoot potatoes at standing seam roofing. All right, now at these metal shingles. Okay, now let's shoot it at regular asphalt shingles. And of course goes right through it. Now, what do you think is going to happen when hail starts falling? You just got to help people understand what it is you do. You got to do it in an interesting way, and you got to put it in front of their face 1,000 times.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you got to build that trust as you go along, that they can trust you and that you know what you're talking about. And I think that's, for roofing contractors, that's more important than anything, because you're on, like you said, the industry has not always had the best reputation, but there are amazing contractors out there. And when you look at the craftsmanship of the metal roofing contractors, just putting that out there, it's off the charts of what they can do. And so one of my questions for you, Rich, is because I just would love this, I love this conversation. And it's just, I am, once I got into roofing and into construction overall, my dad was a general contractor. So I kind of grew up in the trades. But I just love telling the contractor story. I love telling their story because there are so many great contractors out there. And it's unfortunate when a few who are not so great tarnish the reputation of all these amazing family-owned businesses, new people who are starting them. So I'd love for you just to kind of talk about how fun it is, or what you've built your business on working with contractors. Why? What just totally inspired you about working with contractors?
When I worked with Lawn Smith Roofing and we put together the Code of Ethics and Contractors Competency Guide, here's what I realized. Because keep in mind, let me give you a little context. In 1996, I was 27, okay, and I looked like I was 12, okay. I hadn't been around. I didn't know anything, and I realized, like, kind of my first at bat, I hit a home run, which means I looked at this company, Lawn Smith, and I went, wow, these guys really do everything right. Like, they're not screwing around. They are very protective of their reputation. They do everything in an amazing way. And I thought, my marketing principles that I espouse, identity, who you are, how you're different, how you're better, it works so well in an environment where there's truly good companies and also not that great companies to compare against, because it's so easy to stand out. And I thought, this is a no-brainer. Of course, contractors have big tickets, so they're spending a lot of money on marketing and advertising. That's good for my company because we provide services in that area. And I thought, wow, this is going to be great. And there's so many opportunities. Let me give you one more example with Lon Smith.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Again, remember the era, 1996. And then I want you to be thinking as I'm telling the story, how could you apply this now? Okay. So one of the things that they did is they created this. Do you remember green bar printer paper?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
See this, they're going to be like, "What are you talking about?" Well, there used to be dot matrix printers, and there was this paper that was called green bar that every other line was green, and the opposite line was like either gray or white or something. Okay, and so what they would do is every month, at the end of the month, they would print out a report on this green bar paper of all their customers from that month, their name, address, phone number, and details about the job that were relevant. Okay, and then they would just put it in this binder. So every month they would just create a new layer on this binder. And by the time I showed up in 1996, this thing was like 7 inches thick. Okay. 7 inches thick. And you could see at the bottom of it, it was like weathered where, people had, thumbed through it. And at the top, it was less weathered. And I said, they show me this, like, here's all of our customers. And I go, so what do you do with this? They go, what do you mean? It's just our customers list. I go, how long would it take you to print out the entire list on Greenbar? And they're like, we don't have any idea. Probably a couple of hours. So we had them print out the entire 7 inch thick Greenbar. And Greenbar paper is like 15 inches wide or something.
Right.
It's really
Right.
big.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. We had them print this out for every single salesperson. And then when they would go into the home, we practiced this and we experimented. You hold it about 8 to 10 inches above the table and you drop it. Higher than that, it could break things. Okay, it weighed like 13 pounds or something, and you drop it. You go, here's every single customer we've ever worked with in the 33 years at that time we've been in business. Thump. Would you? I'm happy to leave the room, go out to my car. I'll leave you with this for as long as you want, for 10 minutes, for an hour. You can call anybody in this book that you want. Ask them what they think about Lawn Smith Roofing.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Okay, so how could you use that now? Well, the answer is it's print out the freaking thing on. Maybe it's not green bar. I mean, you can do the exact same thing.
Except, I love that. And I have to just say too, for Lon Smith, that the fact that they already in 1996 had started putting all that information into a computer and that they were actually digitizing all of their customers is really impressive.
Well, they were 50 million in sales, man. They were cutting edge. They were hiring guys like me to come in and do marketing for them. It was crazy.
It was so cool because so many contractors were like, didn't even have a computer on their desk.
Well, you know how I met Lon Smith Roofing? Let me tell you how I met him in the first place. We held a 4 hour seminar back in those days. My partner did most of the speaking. I kind of sat in the back of the room and I wasn't a speaker back then. We held a 4 hour seminar in Dallas. Okay. And that's an important detail because it was about an hour away from their office. Okay. They sent 22 salespeople to our
Holy
seminar.
cow. Wow.
And funny thing, it was terrible. The seminar was terrible for a lot of reasons. And Scott Hamilton, the general manager at the time, called me the next day and he goes, "Hey, I just want you to know something, man. We sent 22 people out there. We paid for their lunch. We put them in a bus. They all went together on a bus. Cost us a lot of money, the ticket price, everything. And to a man, they came back and said, 'Hey, this is a terrible seminar. It wasn't appropriate for salespeople. It was a marketing seminar that we were kind of trying to spin that it could work for salespeople. It was a bad match.' Okay." And he goes, "You owe me, man. You got to, first of all, I want my money back." And I said, I was broke, man. I was like, I don't have any money to give you, but I'll tell you what, if you ever need any marketing, you can call me." And he laughed and he hung up the phone until a few months later when that storm hit. And he called me up and he goes, "You freaking owe me, dude. Get over here." And it worked
Oh
out.
my gosh, that
It
is
worked
so
out.
great.
But here's the point of that story. Even then, they're spending money to send their salespeople, their training. Those guys did everything right. What a talk about a level 10 kind of a company.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. I love these. We could talk all day about these stories. I love them. But let's talk real quick about to the market out there when they come to Operation Lead Surge. Everybody's looking for lead gen. Everybody's looking for, I mean, especially right now, things are a little bit slower than they were, although it seems to be ramping up again. Talk to us a little bit about what people can expect from this event, and then how do they attend?
Yeah, so it's in Philadelphia on September 11th and 12th. I don't know when this podcast goes live, but that's in about 5 minutes. It's in about 5 minutes whenever you're listening to this. So if you can come, fantastic. You can go to operationleadsurge.com, click on tickets. Just let me give you a little bit of logistics there. If you click on tickets, it'll ask you to choose a sponsor. Just choose Level 10 Contractor and then use a code Level 10, all lowercase, no space, Level 10, and it'll give you the biggest discount, whatever. It's a lot of discount. Anyway, um, I'm going to walk through this identity thing that we've talked about for so much of this call today. And then we're going to go through a workshop, how to create your identity. And then we're going to go into 7 lead generation methods. And I've got a little list here so I don't forget. It's going to be websites and SEO, so that Google is going to, the yellow pages actually works, okay? Which is the 2025 version. Pay-per-click advertising. I know this is a big sore spot for a lot of people because it's almost impossible to make pay-per-click work if you're not doing what I call rapid iteration of ads and landing pages. So you're testing things all the time, and you could find things, but you just hire a normal company. They're going to like place an ad, see if it works. If it doesn't work, like, oh, it doesn't work. Well, not if you're testing 17 ads and 17 different landing pages. You'll find something that works. Then we'll do face-to-face marketing, door knocking, things like that, referrals, getting more referrals. Then we'll get into what do we get into? Media, TV, radio, OTT, social
River's Coffee
media
Shop,
supremacy.
Metal
Yes,
Coffee Shop.
yes. Social media. I mean, social media is so massively important. If you're not posting a minimum of 30 pieces of content a month, you're going to lose. And then also paid advertising on social. It's also hard if you're not doing rapid iteration of ads and landing pages. So we'll go through all that, and then we'll talk about something called lead conversion engine, which is how to make sure the leads that you are getting are converting both into appointments and into sales like they should.
I am so excited about this. And for those who can't attend, because we are kind of close to it, but can't attend, tell us real quick, how can they get a hold of you to kind of get started, start having some conversations with you about this identity?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, we're video recording the entire conference, so we will be making that available for sale. If somebody is interested in that, just reach out to me. My email is Rich, R-I-C-H. A lot of people call me Rick. It's not Rick though. Rich at level10contractor.com. Also, you can just email me if you have any questions about anything. I have a podcast called Level 10 Contractor Daily Podcast. It's a daily podcast. It's been going since 2019. There's 2,100 plus episodes on every imaginable thing you can think of. So, yeah, there's a million ways to get a hold of us. I have a book called Unlocking Unlimited Lead Flow. It's on Amazon.
Great. Awesome. Well, and we're going to get a lot of this. You'll see this in articles on the site. We'll have all these links and sources to get to Rich. This is what the industry needs right now more than ever, to be telling our story and telling it in such a spectacular way. Rich, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I loved it. I could talk to you stories for all day long. It's pretty awesome. So
Someday we'll do a marathon where we'll just get on here and just yak for 4.5 hours. We'll do like a Joe Rogan style thing.
Yeah, we just need to make sure we have enough coffee and tea. That's all we need. I love it. Well, and thank you all for listening. Cool stuff. Can help your metal business, whether it's roofing, siding, HVAC, building metal buildings, all those barnuminiums. This is the kind of marketing that you need. So check it out. Please check out Level 10 Contractors and their upcoming Operation Lead Surge event. Thank you so much for being here today. Be sure to set your notifications on all of your podcast channels or on your favorite podcast channel and get those notifications. We'll be seeing you next time on MetalCast.
Ready to raise the metal roof? Subscribe to MetalCast now and stay tuned for all things metal roofing. Go to MetalCoffeeShop.com to learn more. Rock on, and we'll catch you on the next episode.